Oh dear me. Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pearce. This is Ukraine War News Update, second part thereof for the 28th of September 2024. I've just recorded the entire video and hadn't even pressed start, I hadn't even pressed record. Luckily, this is quite a short video, military aid, there's not too much to report, but I'm going to have to say exactly the same thing again. Right, I'm going to start with a couple of topics that I would normally include in my hits and losses video. This came out just after I recorded my first video of the day, so let me just share this with you. A military training centre near the Russian city of Tambov has been engulfed by fire, says Nexta. Eyewitnesses claim that the fire is growing and has already approached the camp and surrounded the settlement. The cause of the fire is unknown. Fire occurred at the Triglulyai, a military training area, which Russia uses to train electronic warfare troops. Interesting, because it sounds similar to the sort of place, it was the place that was attacked in Poltava, where 60 odd people died and up to 300 people were injured. That terrible strike that happened relatively recently. Could this be a similar sort of target? Is this a target, first of all? Is this something the Ukrainians are involved in? Don't know. Is it a strike with drones, missiles? Don't know. Is it a careless smoker that happens to have caused a bigger issue at somewhere that looks comparable to that other place in Poltava? I don't know, but we'll keep an eye on that. Big fire there that appears to be encroaching on that military base. Then we hear from Null Reports and others. I've seen some translations of the Telegram channels talking about this, but the Kerch Bridge is under missile danger. It said that 2 missiles are inbound for the bridge. He said that was, an hour or so ago. More launches in a direction of the Kerch Bridge, according to Russian monitoring channels. And then naval drones reported in the direction of Sevastopol. So you got Sevastopol, bottom left of Crimea, and the Kerch Bridge, top right kind of thing. Both of those places could be under threat. Russian monitoring channels are now reporting that these targets are false in an attempt to reveal Russian air defense positions, and that could be quite likely. So when Russia have sent 1 or 2 drones or missiles into Ukraine, you're thinking, what are you doing that for? But of course, they're trying to get intel on what the air defense's positions are and how they will react to their threats, and it gives them a much better idea of where it's safest to send missiles or how to use those missiles, what kind of altitude, what kind of route they should take. And by attacking the Kerch Bridge now and again with a few bits and pieces, we know that the Russians have been, I talked about it in my last video, they've been building up these towers with Panzer S-1 air defense systems, and then building booms and sinking ferries and building protections around a base in the water of the Kerch Bridge. So they are trying to protect this. This is target number 1. The Ukrainians could be feeling out what the defenses are like ahead of a much larger wave of strikes on the bridge. So could be something they're going to do, or it could be just keeping the Russians thinking, making them stack all their air defenses on top of the Kerch Bridge, and then attacking somewhere that's now weaker because there are no air defenses, etc., etc. We'll see if anything develops from there. Okay, French aid to Ukraine says Canada and France are likely training Ukrainian pilots on the Alpha jet before they make the transition to the F-16 and Mirage. So we know that this is happening. This is nothing new, but actually we're starting to hear more and more about the Mirage 2005F, where the French are giving, say, 6 of these to the Ukrainians, and it appears that the Canadian French could well be training those pilots up as we speak on them. There was talk about getting those Mirages, was it before the end of the year? So I don't know that's time enough to train up pilots on them. And there's also talk about what the loadout will be. I think they've been tasked with making them able to hit ground targets and so on and so forth, not just some kind of interceptor fighter jet. So we will see how that develops. On the same kind of topic, the Dutch Air Force yesterday said goodbye to its F-16s as they flew for the last time over the Netherlands. They are going to be transferred to the Ukrainian Air Force. I saw one of them flying with a nicely painted tail as well, so that was quite impressive. But yeah, the Dutch obviously offloading those to Ukraine, and that's going to be very well received. Lithuania will supply Ukraine with 5,000 GA-10 FPV AI drones, so artificial intelligence involved there, it seems, from selected Lithuanian companies, with the first deliveries expected to be by the end of the month. These drones feature quadcopter frames, vertical takeoff and landing, and can carry up to 3 kilograms of weight. They are designed to operate autonomously without GPS, so it appears they could be somewhat more resilient to jamming and electronic warfare, and can adapt to various video transmission frequencies and camera types. So that's good news. 5,000 of those coming from Lithuania. Excellent news there. Now, this is an interesting point from Michael Wise, and it's well made. This is a salient point. So there's a lesson in here about the limits of America's management of her allies. Ukraine begs for permission to do things it needs to win a war. So to strike deep into Russia. Please, please, the US, give us permission to do this. I know you've given us some of these missiles, and some of these come from other people, but you're not letting us do X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, Israel's got the US Defense Secretary on a blower, on the horn, and doesn't bother to tell him it's about to whack their leader of Hezbollah. So Israel are using Western, American, and others, Western weapons, and they're destroying targets in another country, another sovereign nation. So they're hitting into Lebanon, they're blowing things up in Gaza, they're doing X, Y, and Z, they're having, pagers and mobile phones blow up, etc., etc. And the US is sitting by going, okay, well done, I guess. And they're kind of implicitly condoning this. And of course, this is a perfect time to be doing this kind of activity because the US is embroiled in elections, right? Both sides are campaigning, and neither side will want to get either critical or overly endorsing Israel in what they're doing here in striking inside Lebanon, because that will be electorally divisive and could send the margins one way or the other. You want to be looking after your margins at the moment in the US. And so Israel is going, let's do this, let's go crazy, bish, bash, bosh. Meanwhile, Ukraine is going, can't we just, there's an airbase there. We're not like blowing up people's pages and kids' faces blowing up or whatever it is. Like here we've got a Russian airbase that we just want to blow up because it's destroying our cities. And the Americans are going, no, you can't do that. But Israel, that's a hot potato. Don't want to make any comment on that. So, really interesting. And, where as JNQ says down here, when Ukraine didn't notify the US and did something anyway, Kursk region, they had the greatest success. So there's some, a bit of double standards possibly. Right. This whole thing about China supporting Russia is rumbling on, and it is a major concern. So the Times have released an article that kind of confirms Reuters reporting on this. Reuters talked about the G3 drone, which is one that they're creating in Russia, and then in China, and then will be sending to Russia. So a new report obtained by allies points to a Chinese company sending a range of purpose-built military drones to Russia for testing, with the ultimate destination being Ukraine, according to the Times. As Colby Badwise says, are we going to do anything to respond to this? We know that Antony Blinken has kind of talked about this, is super worried about that. Apparently, the deal occurred last year, according to a Western official, but the company's name has not been disclosed. While the Chinese government might not admit it, they are going to struggle to keep their increasing support under wraps, added the official, appearing to accuse Beijing of being involved or aware of the delivery. Source also confirmed a Reuters report about the program in China to produce Garpia 3 attack drones for the use in Russia's war in Ukraine. So this is no longer things like hexacopter, octocopter, dual-purpose drone, or actually like civilian drones. So drones that were originally manufactured for use in agricultural scenarios. So this is what China have been doing, is getting some of these drones to Russia under the guise of these being agricultural drones, and you sell them to Russia. And technically, this is not a military export, but of course it gets co-opted for military use. These appear to now be moving, it appears that China is moving into the realm of actual military drones, testing them, sending them to Ukraine, or test them in Russia to be built in China and sent to Ukraine. To Russia to be used in Ukraine. This is a real worry. And Antony Blinken has come out and discussed this being an issue, but something needs to be done about it. Russian Mavic 3 drone, so a Chinese drone again, being used with anti-personnel mines here. We've seen, say, some of the Ukrainian drones have been dropping TM62 anti-tank mines, much heavier. Almost 10 kilogram mines. These are lighter personnel mines, and it just shows you the different functionality of these drones that can be used for so many different things. Here we have a Mavic drone being able to drop anti-personnel mines on on the territory to hit unsuspecting troops passing by. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate your support. Thank you, and I will speak to you soon in hopefully the geopolitics video that's going to be hot on the heels of this one. Take care. Toodle pips.